Music flags from yellow China. It's the trick time to time to tip down to time to one from like fire.
All right, thank you all for attending this week. We're going to get started with last week. We're going to go into segment two. So this will be part two from last week. If you all see the announcements, I put all the things into a note. But today I'll make it a lot easier for you all. I'm going to put in a visual that I'll be pulling up on the screen in just a moment so you all can visually see exactly what we're trying to say. Now that we have the AI, it's going to be a lot easier to explain and to make sure that you all stay 100% compliant with everything that we're going to be doing today. So if you're new to this and you're just starting getting into the calls, don't feel like you're behind because we go over everything every week as like if it was from the beginning. So every week our goal is to practice what we have right now. So some of us may have to get certain things in place, or some things may be easy for you to get started on. So I'll go into that in just a few. I want to go ahead and see if that email popped up so I can get you all a visual. I'll get into comments and questions in just a few. I won't be doing that later. I'll be doing a lot of Q&A session early first so I can make sure I get a full understanding of where you all are with, I would say, some of these required steps. All right, here it goes. It popped up. You all see that? Oh, sorry, it's a little fuzzy. It looked like it's blurry. Let me see if I can get a better imagery for you all. Seems blurry to me. Yeah, it's too small. So let's get a better image. I may pull the image up a little later. But our goal for the announcements today is just to jump right into it. If you didn't come on last week, we talked about how you have to be in compliance with the documents and steps that are required in order for you to activate your trustee powers. So you can't say you have power of attorney if you don't have trustee power. Trustee power is way more important than the documents of the state. The state is actually under you. You're supposed to put the state as under your trust, not actually above it. So we're going to learn how to incite these codes as we went over last week. We talked about trust codes. But for this one, just to kind of make sure I'm not going to lose anyone, just immediately getting into it, is you're going to have to prove at this point, one of your first points I'm going to pull in today is proof of taxes paid. That's going to be your main game, is that you're not avoiding to pay taxes, or you're like saying, I don't know if I'm going to pay them or not. Your goal is to make sure you have proof of your taxes paid. And we'll also talk about proof of filing if you did not have the funds to pay off all your debts, bills, and expenses. This may be a hard one for some of us because even if you don't have the money, you're still supposed to file your tax return of the proof of the filing, as I showed you all last week. But let me get the diagram up so I can get into y'all questions early today, because we want to make sure we're not making this a little difficult or too complicated to understand. So I'll be pulling up a visual for you. We don't need you all to just theorize at this point. We want you to have the physical, foolproof understanding. And if you all want to get into the spiritual knowledge, make sure on Saturdays you come in on every Saturday. We do the spiritual studies as well. That can kind of hinder you all if you don't know different things in the background that are stopping you from doing a lot of this stuff. You may be like, man, I was supposed to do this. I was supposed to do that. Well, it is part of the mental and physical battles that you have too, that are put in place against you. Like I say, this system is an adversarial system that is designed against you. It's not designed in a way people say it's for you. So we know that it's not working out that way. So we want you all to have full awareness of what's going on and what is happening every week. How do I get this picture? I'm going to pull it up on the phone, and let's see if it pops up this way. I'll just go live right here. That way it's a lot easier for y'all to see this. Only host can share, okay? Who's the host? Gotta be me. So that means I have to give permission. All right, so here we go. Let's pull this screen up. It'd be a lot easier to pull it up from the phone because I can't get it on the computer. So let me just share my screen for a moment, see if this pops up. Where is it at? That picture. Oh, it won't let me do that. Even that's not working. It has to be the way to show this. So let me think it through. And I think it'll be easier if I just email it.
Wallace, can you change the resolution? Can you change the resolution on the picture that you had the first time?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do this time because it's asking me, do I want to have an actual size? So I'm gonna put actual size this time. So I think I did it too small the first time. All right, so it looks like it popped up again or it's waiting to pop up. But as I go, I just want to make sure if you're at this point, the first thing that we're going to be talking about, if you're still listening, is proof of your taxes, proof of your tax return. And we're going to be very specific. We're going to say your tax transcripts. So proof of your tax transcripts showing that you're actually, that you are going to file your taxes and things of that sort. So that's what we're talking about mainly when we get into a lot of these topics and talks. We don't want anybody to get lost, but you think there are shortcuts or there's ways that you can just jump over certain things that we're going to show you. We're not here to show you how to do shortcuts. We're here to just show you to do the straight way. We don't want you to jump around and think there's a magic document or, you can get out of the situation quick or something if you jump into some stuff. So I'm going to show you the way to get out of it, and I'm going to show you how you can deal with it. Once I get a chance to get y'all this picture diagram, it seems like since it's some tech errors or some communication errors right now, that's what's going on. Well, the picture's not popping up. All right, so once this picture pops up, I'm going to be able to get it on the screen. I just emailed it to myself to make it a lot easier. And once I did that, that gave me the actual size. So just bear with me as I pull that email up. So this will be a visual guide of what we're trying to explain. Sometimes it can be difficult to tell you what's going on without actually showing you what we're talking about. I think it'll let me do it this way. There we go. All right, so this may be the screen I'll have to show you off for now. I didn't want to do it this way, but hey, it works. All right, so like I say, the first thing we're going to talk about, anyone that's coming in new, or you could be a person that's been doing this for a while, even myself, you're going to have to go through diagram 1, which we're going to be explaining today in full details in the notes that we're talking about. How's this going out? Is step 4 is your compliance and documentation checklist. So you want to make sure you're going to keep all your documents accurate. Let me see if I get a better view for you all. That resolution should look good, at least at this point. Come on. All right, so I'm going to start right here. It says proof of taxes paid or proper filing. So your objective is to maintain evidence that the tax returns were filed on time and your taxes paid. And the reason why you want to do this, you want to get out of that whole mindset that they taught about not filing your taxes or just thinking that you can get around it. You want to make sure you file your taxes on time. And if you didn't owe anything or you're not supposed to file taxes, then you don't have to think about filing the taxes on time. You can just file backwards and get them all filed at a certain point. The next thing is your payment plans. If you got to pay something, make sure there's a payment plan in place with the people. You have to call them up and say, hey, I need a payment plan. Or balances due. So if it shows balances on your account, you have to make sure that you communicate so those balances on your account can be dealt with, because on your tax returns, it should show that you're adding those tax bills. Like we went over last week, I showed y'all that they said that you can put taxes that you owe. You can put court cases on there too. So if you owe money for court cases, doesn't matter what court case it is, that's civil or criminal. If you owe, then you have to list that each year until it's paid, even if you don't have the money. So we got to go through this meticulously, because I think I lose a lot of people here when I start talking about filing your taxes with all of your bills, all of your debts, and even the expenses that you may incur throughout a year. That's how you're supposed to balance yourself. That's the main objective. So when we say file your taxes, we're telling you to file everything that you can think about. So your supporting documentation, I'm showing you on the screen here, is your IRS account transcripts. So the IRS is going to look at the tax transcripts. They're not going to look at what you say is in somebody else's system or you may have in your hand. So the IRS looks at the tax transcript. So you need that. You need that account transcript of what the IRS is going to look at. That's first things first. So if you don't have that and you're here and you say you have a trust and you've been doing this stuff for years, we know that you're not ready. There's no way you're ready to face the government and to come in the way of power. So we're talking about power today. When you say you have power, power of attorney and power to do things, you have to make sure you have things in place to support you. So the account transcripts are very important. Next is your tax return transcripts. So another thing is your tax return transcripts showing that your taxes were filed, and it shows your taxes on those transcripts. It's easy, right? Next is your e-file acceptance confirmation. So that means if you e-filed your taxes, like we said, we want y'all to do everything online through the softwares that the IRS gave us. So make sure it shows the acceptance. And if it does, that's a good thing. If it shows you were denied and you just left it there and you didn't refile it or something, then you haven't been accepted. So you can't use that tax return yet. So we focus on making sure you get accepted and there's a confirmation that your tax return was accepted. Now, if you're married filing jointly, everybody's accepted at one time if it's a married filing jointly return. So you don't have to wait for another acceptance from another party and so on. And usually everything is filed on one return if you have a married filing jointly return, as well as dependents. So any questions or thoughts on this? I'm going to go through two more, and I'm going to open up for you all to ask questions about this: proper taxes paid or proper filing. Next is your canceled checks or IRS payment confirmations. So we want to make sure that those checks and those IRS payments were confirmed. Next is your IRS payment agreement documentation, if it's applicable. So if you got an agreement over the phone with the IRS agent, make sure they sent something in the mail, or make sure you got some type of proof of that you have an agreement. Sometimes those agreements can get lost and you can't go by saying I called them and they told me. Please, y'all, don't ever do that to your life. The lady on the phone told me everything is okay. You know, that right there, I can't say you can really bank your taxes on that stuff. So make sure you have a documentation of everything we're saying, and they must mail it to you. And sometimes, at times, the IRS will give you some type of confirmation number over the phone. So if y'all don't have something, always ask for the ID number of the IRS agent. They may tell it to you in the beginning. Write it down. Also get a confirmation number over the phone if you're dealing with an over the phone situation. So I'll read these last notes and I'll open up for comments and questions on this part right here. So it says, important note, being unable to pay taxes does not prevent filing. All right, so you see what they said? Just because you don't have the money does not mean you're not supposed to file. Next, filing on time and paying are separate obligations. If you cannot pay in full, the IRS generally expects you to file the return and then arrange payment if necessary. All right, so that's important. So at the end of the day, regardless of you owing them or regardless of you, you know, not filing for a while, whatever that is, they're going to see it in the system and they're going to say, hey, you need to make sure you file all those returns up to date and you can go in on the payment plan. That's what I'm finding out that they're doing now. They're actually making you file all those returns and they're making you create the payment plan. So any comments or questions? This thing right here just moves in and out. So just bear with me as I'm trying to do that. So I'll open up for comments and questions on number 1. Okay, so we don't have anyone so far right now. Anybody have thoughts or questions on what's supposed to show up on the tax transcripts? This is the best part right here. I think we were talking about the 1099s and all this stuff for a number of years, but now for sure you should know where those 1099s show up. They will show up on your tax transcript. So anyone have questions on 1099s, W-2s, anything of that sort? Because these are the things that once it shows up on your tax transcript, the IRS is requiring you or expects you to know that that has to be filed. So I want to make sure we cover all bases because we want you all to move forward because they're going to look for any little small error or mistake to stop you. And that's why we go over this meticulously so that there is no error and there are no problems because, you know, you're in a trust. The revocable trust handles all your problems.
Yeah, Wallace, I do have a question in reference to the revocable. If it was created this year, can you go back 3 years prior to it being created? Is that accurate?
Oh yeah, that's a great question, man. Short answer is yes. If you use the sole proprietor, you're able to go back 2 to 3 years. So even if you created your revocable trust yesterday, you still want to go back on the sole proprietor 2 to 3 years on your tax return. We actually had someone that went back 5 years and it worked. I think they're going back even further. So I'm not saying, so don't quote me on it and say that I said that you can. I'm just saying that we had some people, we had some evidence of people going back even further than 3 years. I hope that helps with the minute that I execute that revocable trust, this is now me being in the position of power. That's what I'm trying to explain. And you can't depend on the state or the government anymore at this point because the government is now really working for you. They're under you. So that's why I want to make sure you all are in compliance when you're talking and you're dealing with these people. And I got a better imagery for you all now. So we're good to go on the imagery. So thank you, Brother Ron. I hope I answered that question. Is that short answer is yes. You'll be able to do with the sole proprietor. The answer is no. If it's the EIN, you do not file the tax or the 1041 for the EIN if you just got the EIN. All right. So you have to file the 1041 maybe after a year or maybe after, I think it's around a seasonal return if you do it that way. But that's a whole different conversation when you start filing the taxes for the 1041. All right, so we got a few comments in the segments. Check the chat. Then I'll check the YouTube audience too. It says once the 1099s are filed, how long does it take to show up? That's a great question. So the Internal Revenue Service doesn't really tell you, but I think it's based upon a time frame of when you're filing your taxes. You want to usually have your 1099s turned in before January or February of that year. So as long as they're turned in timely before February, usually the 1099 should show up within 30, 60, or 90 days. But don't quote me on it. Sometimes it takes longer and you have to do an extension on your taxes. But yes, it is required for the 1099s to show up on your tax transcript before you can file the 1099s. Next question was, do you have to wait until the tax return shows up? Yep, that goes right into my segment point that I just said. Do you have to wait until the tax return shows up on the tax transcript before you file the 1099? Not necessarily the tax return, but specifically the 1099s for that year. You must wait for those 1099s to show up for that specific year. In some respects, for payment plans or taxes owed, yes, the answer is yes too, for the tax returns to show up on the transcripts too. So you have to wait for everything to show up in order to catch everything back up. If you are, they'll say back filing taxes for the last 3 years. They say that's an example for someone who did not file taxes for like 3 to 4 years or more. So yes, you have to wait for all those tax returns to show up as well as the 1099s. So I hope I answered those questions. And those are great questions because some people may have to take note of what we're saying right now because this may be your situation. So anyone else have any other thoughts or questions on what we're speaking of right now? Because like I say, this is number one. Y'all are not ready to talk to the bank people yet. All right, so feel free to type your comments or questions in the. We got a lot of things y'all need to be talking about because taxes is difficult. Like I say, if you owe a court case, let's talk about court cases. If you owe a ticket, if you owe a traffic ticket, the traffic ticket needs to be listed on your tax return. Anybody want to talk about the court cases or the traffic tickets? Because that may be one that's escaping us that we don't want to talk about. I don't care what type of case it is. It could be a civil case or a criminal case. Who cares? You still have to file your taxes for the criminal case. Because if you go to the courthouse and you give the courthouse a money order, cash, or a check, or even a credit card, you are responsible to file your taxes. All right. The government never said that you was not supposed to file your taxes if it's a court case. All right. Now, I'm making sure I'm saying this because this may be someone's situation and you're just not thinking that that's important to file. Yes, you must file the court case. So anyone I want to talk about the court cases because that may be a fleeting situation. I don't care if it's a case that opened up a foreclosure. Even if it's a foreclosure, you must file the taxes on the foreclosure.
So in reference
Credit
to that,
card
while
debt, and so on. Oh, go ahead. I'm
in,
listening.
in reference to a court case, what is the proper documentation in reference to filing it? Is it the same as the A, B, and the Schedule C according to the law? So whatever the total amount of the case was, you have any, practical examples you want to use when filing the court case properly?
Right. So you said half of the answer. You filed the 1099 on the court case, right? So you have to file the amount of the court case. That's if you paid them, right? So that goes back to our 1099B that, some of y'all may think that you can do this on an individual, but you can't do it as an individual. You have to do it as a sole proprietor, which is through the trust. So that's why we have to be careful when somebody say, I did my 1099s. We don't know if you did the 1099s on the individual side or the business side. So that's the important question. And we have to be able to answer that question first when you say the 1099s or anyone says they did their 1099s. So anyone want to shoot at this to kind of quiz yourself to make sure you know when you file your taxes, even with the 1099s, how do you properly do that?
So is it A, B, B, Schedule C, correct? That's the proper way.
That is correct. But you're missing one point. What business structure? I'm gonna say that. What business structure is filing the ABB? What business
This
structure?
sole proprietor.
There you go. Thank you. That's right. The sole proprietor. Does anyone have questions on this? I want to make sure we're not losing anyone on this right here. Anyone have questions on what business structure is filing the 1099s as well as the tax return Schedule C? All right. So once you all have this in place, you know that these are your supporting documents that you see in step one. So I'm going into step one slowly to kind of show you that's the first things first before y'all can even get into the other parts that I'm about to show you in just a few. So I'm going to move on from step one, which is proof of taxes paid or proper filing. So every week, y'all have Monday through Friday that you need to call the IRS or you need to log into your IRS account. So some of y'all have been on these calls for like over 4 weeks, 4 months, or even years. And I always ask these questions. If you're not logging into your IRS account weekly or monthly, there's a problem. I don't care who we are, even me. Even me. So, like I say, this has nothing to do with someone having all this knowledge and you have a degree or you have to go to school and you have to figure it out and study this stuff, all that. No, this is not that complicated. If you just choose to not log into your irs.gov account, then that will be your own responsibility. That'll be on you. So, like I said, I'm gonna move on from step one and move y'all to step two. But just don't sit on calls every week and think that this isn't affecting you. This will affect you. So number two, let's go to the next one. It's the one that we got a lot of people jammed up right here. And I'll be talking about this one for a while. This may take a while. So number two, I forgot I didn't go into the YouTube. Let me make sure I didn't go forward. And I forgot about the YouTube questions because some people may have some questions on YouTube. So if you look into this, you actually are your own. If you want to call someone a guru or a teacher or a master, you're the one that's supposed to be the master. You're the one who accesses your master account. If you want to break it down like that. And the only way you can access that account is if you are in control. You have the power. All right. You have the power. I mean, nobody else is going to give you the power easily. When's the last time somebody just gave you power and said, here you go. Let me give you some power. So obviously, y'all got to take it. It ain't no simple, let me go ask them to give me my power. They're not going to give you your power. So at this point, you got to take it. It may seem mean. It may seem rude or offensive. All right, so let's move forward with this because some of y'all got to stop tiptoeing into these offices, speaking so low and got your head down. Don't go in there tiptoeing with your head down. You got to go in there confident, and don't be thinking that somebody's going to be able to tell you the answer to the IRS over the phone. The IRS will hang the phone up on you. We don't care if they don't care if you waited for an hour. They gonna hang the phone up because you got somebody on the side telling you some answers real quick. Hey, what do they say right here? They asking me about the 1099s. Click. IRS hangs the phone up. Hey, I was on the phone for an hour, man. Y'all can't study your way out of this stuff. Like I say, they got so many different people out here, but you're the number one person. So I see you busy on the YouTube. I understand there's some issues with the IRS. It's a difficult task for some of us because you got to overcome. Like I said last week, we had some illustrations on like if these officers, these authorities, these officers ask y'all some questions, y'all can't feel like you can't talk to them like you handling business. That's the way you got to deal with them. Police officers, IRS officers, the bank officers. That's what I'm about to talk about in just a minute. The bank officer that y'all be dealing with too, them financial officers. So like I say, you got to go in there with confidence. You got the authority. You got your revocable living trust. I think you do. Maybe y'all still didn't even look at it last week. I said last week, if you didn't even pick up your revocable living trust all week, or at least looked at it, you're not even gonna hear anything I'm saying today. So I would just look at it right now. At least look at your own trust. And then you move forward with the power of attorney, which is from the state that you're taking that power from, that they're going to cut me off because they don't want me to show you how to fill that form out. So if y'all see the YouTube's getting cut off, it's because they don't want me to show you all of the answers. But I can tell you, I just can't show you the answer. So let me at least show you the visual that the best I can do to show you what these people are going to be doing and using against you. So when you get with the bank, this is the biggest one. I've been overcoming the bank for over 7 years. You got to have a separate business banking. Keep your business finances separate from personal finances. So your objective when you get into the banking, private banking, you're going to be keeping your business finances separate. You're not going to take nothing personal no more. Every time you walk in those offices, don't take it personal. You're not getting personal credit. You're not going to do any of that stuff. You don't need them to run your credit. That's the first step. So a lot of y'all still possibly still dealing with that. So like I said, if you want to overcome that, don't let them run your credit. Don't let them run your social as an individual or as a person. No. I need a business account, sir. I need y'all to focus on making sure this is a business account. Sounds a little embellishing what I'm saying, but it's not. So you're saying you're saying when you go into the bank, if y'all want to go in there as a human, as a walk-in, right? You got to make sure your mind right. Because they still gonna ask you some questions. They're gonna say, well, look, we got an offer for a credit card. You may possibly benefit from this. We see you got good credit and everything. So they're gonna ask you to apply for the credit card. So you got to have your mind right if you walk into the banking system. So your best practices, according to what we have on this diagram, is to open a business checking account for your sole proprietorship. You got to open a business checking account. You got to have a checking and a savings because you got to save yourself next after you get the checking. First, you check yourself, get yourself checked. I like that. That's a good way of saying it. Get your business checking. Then you go and grab a savings account also so you can save things yourself. I don't care what bank y'all at. If they don't understand that, I will leave that bank. period. I don't care how long you've been there. I don't care if my grandmama had that bank and my mom and my aunties, they was there for 10, 15 years. I'm still leaving that bank because y'all are sometimes divided into doing things on some simple level. This is the most simple level that there is. So you got to open up a business bank account, and that's the first step if you're going to deal with the bank. So if you had, and you've been coming to these calls for the last 4 years, 2 years, 2 months, 2 days, however many you be coming here, every moment you don't have a business bank account open that you put your money in, you are not doing business. That's the first things first. All right. Go ahead. I see a hand raised.
Yeah, Wallace, all right, if you're doing business with the bank, can you expound on the transition from individual to sole prop? Say I've been banking with this bank, Bank of America, for 10 years in my individual capacity. And then I come across you in this information and this knowledge. How do I transition from my individual account that I've had with them into a sole prop business account?
Yeah, that's an excellent question because that's the difficult part that I'm trying to sink in first is that we got to let go. We got to let go of that old life that we were living in that personal. So all things that are personal, we no longer can take it personal. All right. So now I'm talking to the bank tomorrow. Let's say tomorrow is Monday. Hey, um, do y'all have any business accounts? I'm coming into the bank. I'm thinking like a business now. So my mind is renewed. I got my mind right. And I'm like, hey, I need to get this. I don't care what's going on. I got to get all this money. I got all this cash, credit cards, everything, man. I need to have business accounts. That's my first things first. That's the way I'm thinking as a mind. But if I don't do that first, then I'm going to have a little bit over here. I'm going to have a little bit over there. I'm going to just keep it a little personal, though. So like I say, this is a separate. You got to separate yourself from the personal. So like I say, the bank thing is first. And when you go in there to answer your question, many banks allow sole proprietors to open business accounts. And what do you use? You use the DBA if they ask you for the DBA. You don't need it though. Sometimes it says if applicable, because some banks don't even need the DBA. And they'll still open up a sole prop for you. You got your legal name, so you got to use your whole name. That's the hard part, a lot of us. I skipped over that real quick because some of us are still struggling with that. But I'm going to say, if you got that revocable trust and you got that power of attorney, you should not be struggling with that. Your legal name is a business. And if you're married and you have two names as a woman, you got to deal with your name that was given to you by your family, and you got to deal with your married name. So you got two names. So yes, your legal name is a business. Any comments or questions on this? We got people that may still. I told my mom, I told my granddad, I told my uncles, I
I
told
do
my
have a
friends.
question.
Yes, go
Okay,
ahead.
in reference to registering with your state, whatever state you in, and then when you're using that fictitious name, Wallace, do you use the your legal name as a fictitious name? Would it be the legal name? You know, the examples you give in reference to your sole prop business accounts has your legal name. So when I'm registering with my state, do I put my fictitious name, my all caps name, my legal name in that box as DBA? I'm doing business as my fictitious name, my all caps name. Is it correct to say that if I choose? I mean, I know it's optional, but
That's right.
that's
I'm
that's the
glad you
question.
said that. I'm glad you said that it's optional if you choose to do that. But is it required to do that? The short answer is no. So it says if applicable. So I do not need a DBA to be a sole proprietor at a bank account. I don't need the DBA, right? Then we're going to hit some more. I mean, we got to make it clear. I don't even need the EIN. I don't need the EIN, nor do I need the DBA. So all I need is my legal name. And my what? What's the other thing on the list? It says your social security number. So that's where we at right now. Your social security number, your legal name needs to be registered at the bank. Like I say, this goes so far that we can only talk about the beginning. So like I said, this is your second step. So like I say, if you got the first step was the taxes done, that's great. Now we got to go ahead and get this business account open up for you in your social, not in your EINs, because we got a lot of people that were led into the EIN race. Like I say, it's optional, but it's not required. Any questions on this part? So we're going to leave out from the banking and we're going to go to number 3 in just a few, because I wanted to make sure I showed a visual to this, because we've been talking about this for years. And you're going to get these bank statements as you begin to do business with the bank. They are going to give you this documentation that I was telling you, this proof. It's going to be this is your proof.
Okay, so in short, Wallace, my notes say first thing first, file my taxes properly in reference to my sole prop. Then, secondly, open business account in reference to my sole prop and live in trust. Is that am I accurate and correct in reference to the steps?
Yeah. When you think of the steps the way you're writing it, yes. But in reality, I need you to go and walk into the bank. That's why I got a visual up for you. And I need you to stay objective. Your objective needs to be what?
Business, not personal.
There you go. Just that simple.
Oh, so it's like the mob say, it's not personal, it's business.
That's those movies, man. You're right. But it's real. They actually were saying principles in those movies. So we'll talk about those things too, how some of the movies show you some of these action points that's going on. But yes, you're right on when you say that what we're dealing with is also another capture point. And I'm gonna ask y'all this question too. So you're at the bank and you're talking about getting business, right? But then they offer you the LLC. All right. Now they're offering you the LLC. Anybody want to shoot at this? What do you do in that situation when they say, hey, well, look, maybe you should just do the LLC instead. Maybe you should just do that. Anybody have any comments or thoughts of how you would handle that situation?
So wait, say it if okay, my answer in reference to Wallace and what I'm learning is I can't take the LLC if my personal name is not in the right standing. They offer me a business account when I don't know how to do business if I've been doing business in my individual capacity. So sole proprietorship first. Yes, that's a step in reference to the LLC that's being offered, but if my legal name is not in doing business, then I would deny that offer. That's how I see it. Check me, Wallace. I mean, I don't know if it's a wrong or right answer, but that's what I got.
Any other volunteer? We're gonna get a few other options. Anybody else want to volunteer at this? All right, I got you guys. Y'all inside the bank right now. This is the bank. You know, financial officers. As someone typed in the chat. I mean, anybody, any of the okay, so like I say, the question is that you're there to open up a business account, right? And you already know what you was about to do. But then they hit you with, look, you don't want to do that. You want to go ahead and just open up this LLC. Just open up the LLC and we're going to go ahead and get you some credit. We're going to get you some credit. What do you say to that? Anybody want to shoot at that situation? Because this is a real life, you're in the bank already, right? You've probably been sitting there for about 15 minutes. Let's add in some more amenities. You've been sitting there, you know, and now they coming at you asking you more questions about other things. Not exactly what you came in there to do, but maybe asking other questions. So now they ask you another question. They like, hey, look, you know what? That's a great idea you were gonna do, but this is what we have right now. If you go ahead and open up an LLC, we're gonna go ahead and throw on some payroll software for free for the first 6 months. All right. I'm just throwing an offer out there for you, right? And if you just stay with that LLC, you know what? Give it another 3 months. I think you will qualify for about $10,000 for your business. You'll qualify for about 10,000. All right. So I'm giving y'all a more enticing offer this time. So what would be your response to this? Well, if you're there and you're doing these steps that we're talking about, what would be your response to this?
I'm trying to do business.
I didn't capture that. Say it one more time for me.
I said I'm trying to do business. I don't want to make it personal. That's on the personal side. I'm trying to do business. Thank you. I want to keep this business. I'm doing
No, no,
good
no, no.
business.
You don't understand. This is business. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, but
You see what
it's
I'm saying? This is business, sir. The LLC is going to get your business started. We're going to get you ready to go, and we're going to get you $10,000, man, in about 3 months.
long stare.
Does anyone see this as a diverting factor?
Oh,
Could this possibly divert you if you were offered this? And like I say, I showing the image of the bank. You know, all you was trying to do is go in there and keep your business finances separate from your personal, right? Right? Giving y'all the best practices is right here. Open a business checking account. You see? I mean, the LLC is a business checking account. Don't get me wrong. It will be a business checking account. Anybody have any thoughts to this? I want to make sure I'm capturing some things that could possibly be more detailed. Okay, we got some in the comments right here. I like that one. Save your soul first. That's a good one. That's the first thing I would do. I would save my soul first. That's a great way of saying that. I'm gonna put all my savings, all my money is going to my savings account. So your legal name is a business. So the LLC is no longer what? In your legal name. Nor are you using your social security number. Now they're going to be using an EIN, and they will create it for you if you choose to go down their path, which they just created for you when you just walked in the bank. Now I gave y'all a visual, so don't say this isn't real because you walked in the bank and you were given a new option. And when you went in there with that new option, we went ahead and grabbed it. So that's why I'm saying this isn't a basic thing like, hey, I have all the steps. Although I have all the steps, I gotta make sure I'm practiced and understanding what I'm gonna do when I go into these people bank. This is where you're doing on number 2. So I gave y'all a visual understanding of sole proprietor. The clarification in that step is not required. Not. Make sure I scroll into this. Because we got a lot of people that keep saying this. We're showing you by law. According to the law does not say, there's nowhere in any court that says that you must have an EIN for your sole proprietor. So a sole proprietor is not required to use an EIN. Many operate legally using only their social security number, although some choose an EIN for privacy or banking convenience. That's it. It's just a banking convenience. It's not the ultimate stuff. So we're not saying that grab the EIN for the sole proprietor. We're saying the opposite. We're saying not to grab the EIN. We're saying not to grab the EIN for the sole proprietor. All right, so we closed on that step. Anyone else have any thoughts on this? We're going to go to step 3. It's going through all of our announcements we had based upon today. Step 3. Anyone else questions on step 2? All right, let's go to step 2. I'm sorry, step 3. I didn't check our YouTube audience, so make sure I check the YouTube. So we'll get into the banking, and we're now going into the credit. Now, when you're dealing with credit, credit is a whole nother deal because credit is also a trap if you're not ready to be secure. So you can get caught up in unsecured credit, like we talked about in a lot of our calls. So your goal is to stay insecure at first. You know, you got to stay secured at first. All right, so let's go back to our steps. So we got step 3, the business credit profile. The business credit profile. Scroll into that one. So at this point on your business credit profile, you understand your objective. Your objective is to develop business credit supported by actual business activity. So I went over this, how you all can prove your business activity through your sole proprietor. You have to offer something, you have to offer a service, or you have to offer a product. The 2 things you offer, or you have to be working on a business, which we'll talk about. That's called research and development. That is also part of working. If you are researching for your business, if you are creating for your business, if you're doing the management of things for the business, you are working. So that is an objective, is to develop that business credit, use that business credit, buy things in the name of the business. So some of the examples we have is business bank account. Like I said earlier, if you don't have step 2 complete, you're not able to get to step 3. Step 3 is very important because step 3 is going to develop the business. So the business bank account, next you're going to have is a vendor account. That is something that you all may have to research. So I need you to become vendors when you work with other businesses, even institutions. I don't care if it's the government. All right? Keep it simple. You just need to find a vendor list. I'm telling y'all a lot of information right now. So a vendor account is important. And at that point, you can develop and gain money or capital. After you gain your money and capital, they're giving you another example is the business credit cards. That's correct. So all the credit cards you have, you're no longer going to be a personal credit card. All your credit cards are going to be business credit cards. Every credit card you have needs to be a business credit card. And I'm not saying an LLC. Yes, we had millionaires in our programs in the past. We had millionaires. So it doesn't matter if you're a millionaire. You still need to do the same stuff. It's the same steps. Your payment history. Look at this. Now you're paying the business side. You're not paying the personal credit cards. You're not paying the personal utility account. You're not paying the personal phone. All right. Payment history. This is big. You're gonna build the business credit up. That's another one we be paying. We pay the what's the loan? Yeah, you can have a personal loan. Whatever those another way, the personal loan. Next is your trade references. So that's your trades, barters, your trades, your accounts you have on Duns and Bradstreet, those types of accounts, business accounts, Experian. So as you can see, all these are examples of what the business credit profile does build as you begin to build yourself up as a sole proprietor. That's the key thing that you do in business first. You build yourself. So when you get your documentation together, you're going to have credit reports. So that's your documentation. So if the court or the police or the government, all these people be scared, like I'm going to just show them the documentation. What's the problem? So they say, show us your business. All right, here's my credit report for the business. Here's the vendor payment history. Here's my business account. There you go. 3 things. That's all you're going to have to show. Credit reports, vendor payment history, and your business bank account. Your business credit may be established using either your social security number. Like I said, you got a business account, you're gonna establish your social as a business too. And you want to build your social as a business. Your SSN as a sole proprietor. Or there's that option again, an EIN. So you can also use an EIN. I like to say also, but for clarification, since we're talking about our name, we're only talking about the social security number today. Now you see it says neither method is universally required. So that means it's not required when you go to the banking system. They neither want to take that because they're not going to sell you the EIN for the sole proprietor, nor will they sell you the social security number being the credit. And I think that goes into business credit profile. There may be more questions that I'm missing on this. If y'all have any thoughts or questions on the business credit profile, it does cover where you don't use the personal credit score anymore. You don't use the personal credit score anymore.
So that's basically, Wallace, I had a question, my bad. I didn't mean to jump in there so fast. So that's basically like, we build this up after we switch everything, like our lights and all of that stuff into the business side and all of that. We start using the sole prop to pay the bills and pay all of that with, or I might be moving to step 4. I might be blending some of step 4 into that. But that's what I'm
Right.
thinking about. Is that how the business activity is going to be built?
Correct. It's like any way you build credit, right? But now
Yeah.
you're building the business credit.
Okay.
You see, it's the same actions. You don't need to do self, where they be having these other credit places and stuff.
Yeah.
You can do your own credit.
Well, now that I see how this all links back up to square one. So now I see why you was focusing on square one so hard. That we gotta have. So I gotta have all of this on my taxes, like my house and all of that stuff, so I can do all of that. All right, I got it. I see it now.
Right. It's coming together. I was just showing you the business credit is another factor. Some of us may try to get credit and we try to get our credit score so high. Like I gotta get a 780 or I gotta get an 800 score and 850 and all this stuff, right? No, that's the personal credit score. We don't want to get a personal credit score anymore. You actually want to get rid of it. You want to transform. I think you can convert. You can convert all your credit cards, every credit card y'all have right now, over to a revocable living trust. That's another way we have in our trust course. We show you how to convert your credit cards out of your personal side. So this is an additional step, along with that step. So if some of us have the credit cards already, you're like, hey, what happens to my score on my credit card? It doesn't go anywhere. It's going to merge over to your revocable living trust. So anyone have any questions on credit? This may be a big one. I've been talking about credit for about maybe 5 years now, and I'm seeing it. It's a difficult thing to talk about because it's totally different than the personal credit score. It doesn't even work the same.
I have a question, Wally.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
In reference to the credit and the sole prop name, um, if you want to use like $1,000 example to secure yourself, can you touch on that? Like, would that be one of the first steps of building the business credit in the sole prop name? If
Mhm.
someone don't have a credit card already in their name or bad credit for the sake of the conversation, could we take $1,000 and secure ourselves and then transition into the business?
No, you're still on the personal. You can't work it in the personal while you're working on the business.
So
Taking the personal.
if I got $1,000 in my individual account and I want to transition into the sole prop according to the bank, right? And
Right,
I put it in the sole prop. Now I want to secure these $1,000 in reference to a credit card.
right.
Am I seeing it wrong? Or
That's the way you want to secure it, though, but it has to be transferred from the personal,
Mhm,
you know? So that person
mhm,
needs to already have the prop open already, the sole prop.
mhm.
That's the only way that's
Uh,
going to work.
Understood.
So even if it's $10,000, let's say I got $10,000 sitting inside the personal bank account, it doesn't matter. All those $10,000 need to go and transfer over to the sole prop. So that's the transition point. And that's when the business credit profile is being built. Once it goes into, we say that you can go into the saving account, I think, too. So yeah, it's a cycle. Once you get into business credit, that's a continual talk. We have strategy courses on that, and then we also have weekly meetings we've been waiting to kind of release out to everyone, but we haven't had a lot of people that was ready to move forward with the business credit. We need about at least 25 people. We'll just say 10 right now, at least 10 to 25 people that we can work with on the business credit profile. All right, let's move forward. If there's no more comments or questions, I'll check out our YouTube, make sure we cover those bases of credit. And the last thing we see is that they say we're not going up the corporate ladder. That's correct. I'm glad you figured that out. Our goal is to come out of the corporate. You don't want to go up the corporate ladder anymore. Forget that corporate ladder. Matter of fact, you'll try to get up the ladder. They'll try to push the ladder off on you. You see what I'm saying? You want to try to get up the ladder and somebody pushes the ladder off right as you're getting up there. It's messed up out here. All right, so our next one, number 4, is foundational to all the other steps. Like I said, this would be step 4. So you still need to have completed step 3. So step 3 must be complete in order to do step 4. So I'm doing this in consecutive order to prove to you all how this has to look in reality. So number 4 is property management under a trust. So that's everywhere you stay, everywhere you live, even if you got a room. That's how this works. And you're gonna add up all of the income, all of the funds that are paid through this right here, this trust. So you're gonna become a property manager in simple terms. Now you're a property management company instantly because you have a revocable living trust. What does it say? Objective: maintain proper records when a trust owns or manages real property. As you can see, the example is a house, an apartment, a room, whatever it is, land, right? Yes, we've been given land. We could be even in charge of land. We have to manage it. Houses, given multiple houses. Maybe our dad or our mom or some people, they own 5 to 10 houses. Mom and dad, they have to manage those houses. So the way this works is you're going to get your objective is to maintain proper records under the trust. So you have to get the revocable trust to own all of the property. Any questions or thoughts to this so far? Now, I'll give y'all some clues of how the trust is owning the property, but I believe it's more answered in the documentation. And this keeps you all compliant because you're going to be asked, I'm sorry, I'm saying this correct. They will request documents. And what they're doing now, they're actually asking you to upload. Now they're hitting y'all with the upload, you know? Hey, can you upload that for us? Can you upload that trust agreement that you have? Hey, can you update that lease agreement with your name as the trust? This is where I'm saying your documentation has to be clarified. There's ways that you can type your name on the documents that will tell you through our courses, because our courses go into significant detail that helps you make sure that you're always the sole proprietor. So I give you all some of the clues. If I have documentation, I sign a lease agreement, I'm going to use my name as trustee, or I'll say grantor, or I'll say beneficiary. That's how you know that I'm in a trust. So when I get a lease agreement and I put my name, or I sign my name and I put comma trustee, or I put comma beneficiary, I'd rather you just put beneficiary or grantor. Let them be the trustee. So your best bet is to sign those lease agreements as a sole proprietor, going back to your lease agreements again. So like I said, it doesn't matter if my mom or my dad, I stay at their house, I'm still going to create an agreement with my mom or my dad staying at their house with a sole proprietor. And this puts me under a trust because I'm going to say I'm a beneficiary staying at this house. So I'm being very specific with words because at this point, this is where it does matter with what and how you say things. Once you're dealing with property, the property is under a trust if you believe and you know that it's under a trust, right? Even if it's a lease agreement, like I say, I broke it down to the lease agreement. I don't care if it's an apartment. It could be an apartment. It's the same thing. Any understandings or another one, it could be you got a month to month lease agreement, month to month. You still got to deal with the same thing. It's under a trust. You stand, and I'm gonna go down to the levels. Like I say, I've been there. I know how it is. I was a college student. I knew how it was, not knowing where I'm gonna stay at, not having no money, not having no place to stay, all that. And we breaking it down to the most minute level, right? You staying at a friend's house and you got some stuff over there, you know, it can break down to a storage room, a storage, right? You got a storage at U-Haul, whatever you want to call that spot. The storage at U-Haul needs to be under the trust. You see what I'm saying, y'all? This is where it gets to the nitty gritty because property management goes so many levels. And I only can go into a few examples. I may be missing some, but it may pick my brain as I go forward. It even goes, I think it even goes as far as even HUD housing and well as Section 8, even Section 8. You break it down, Section 8 can be under the trust. I know people don't understand this, and this is not something that's cheap or welfare when you understand how to manage the government. So another part that we see is insurance. That's right, insurance. That's a big one. I don't care what type of insurance you're saying. All insurances, every insurance. And we got multiple. That's why we help you all in our ecosystem, our best with universitytechnicians.com. We have an ecosystem of helping you with insurance. Our best one we like to help you with is legal insurance. That's first things first. You're going to need some legal insurance. You'll also need a CPA of some sort, not a CPA, a private investigator for your name, making sure your name is not all being hacked and somebody is doing fraud with your name. Then you're going to have auto insurance. You may have a car. You need auto insurance and so on. So all that has to be in the trust, under a trust. Expense records. Expense records. So that means you show that you paid the rent, you paid the light bill under the trust at the location. You paid the internet bill at the house at the location. You pay for the landscape bill. I can go on and on, y'all. Expense records. That's your documentation. You prove that you have documentation paying for these things under the trust. And last but not least is your rental income records, because that's usually what they ask you with the Social Security Administration or even some state government offices. They want to see what your rental income is, or your proof of you have a lease agreement or rent. So I'll read this last part and I'll close out from number 4 and we'll go to number 5. And number 4, it says, important clarification. Property should only be treated as trust property if it actually has, if it has actually been transferred into the trust. That's right. So that's an important note that we have. It has to actually be transferred into the trust. And like I said earlier, you have to actually do this with your mind. You have to actually believe and know that you sign documents a certain way. I fill out documents. I fill this document out as a grantor, or I fill this document out as a beneficiary. Any comments or questions, feel free. And we'll be going into more of these details as we go into more calls about property management under a trust. It lastly reads, or is otherwise legally held. Legally held. Look at this, legal. So now I can bring in lawyers, I can bring in the courts, I can bring in the legal people. Is otherwise legally held by the trust. Simply living in or leasing property does not automatically make it trust property. You see? Just because some of us may believe that, like you can't just list it in your trust and say, I listed it in my trust. That doesn't mean that it's in your trust. It has to be under a trust. under a trust, not in a trust. These are word plays, y'all. And when it's under a trust, you have the control, you have the power, and it goes back into why we're doing all this anyway. So you have to be living in the lease agreement a certain way, and you have to be leasing the property a certain way. It can't just be a regular way in your personal name. The long story short, and number 4. Any comments or questions on as we close on number 4? Some of us may have mortgages, some of us may have lease agreements, some of us may have cars, or whatever that is, that there's still the same understanding as well. All right, so let's close out for number 4. And we're almost done for today. A full chart. And like I said, I did a visual for us so we can have a more visual effect on what our announcements and what our notes are talking about today. And this will close us out from all of our visuals for today with the 5 things that we'll be doing. So your last thing that we have as the notes was visualized for us is your income paid from a trust. That's a big one, a income paid from a trust. So your objective is to document distributions or compensation received from a trust when applicable. So you want to make sure you document those distributions as much as possible. You want to write receipts. You want to write things down in a book. If that's necessary, feel free. As you can see on the left side, there is a paycheck stub. So like I say, they may ask y'all for the last 4 paycheck stubs or the last pay stubs and things like that. So you have to, the trust has to create that. You have to be able to have that documentation with such information given over to you. And that's what we're learning. So we're learning that the trust, for instance, you see in the example, it says Temple Family Trust is the employer. So that means your employer needs to be your EIN. I'll keep it easy for y'all. So once you have the EIN, you need to be working for the EIN, right? You're the trustee. Your name is on the EIN as well. You're like a fiduciary, but you don't want to play that part all the time. So from that point, that's how you have pay stubs. So as you can see, the date it says 5/31/2025, amount 2,500, for example. You can see the payee is a beneficiary of the Temple Family Trust. So your possible documentation you want to have in place is trustee resolutions, which, like I say, I'm not an expert of understanding all this. So this is where you get into your legal counsel or your software or your different things that you may have access to, your AI. Your AI can help you with that. So these are your possible documentations that the government or other entities may ask for if at any chance you deal with any financials or reporting where they're going to do business with you and give you some type of financials. So right here it says possible documentation. If you want to deal with this as a trust, you must do this. This is required. And you must finish step 4. As I say, step 4 is going to be part of what they're going to ask you for in step 5. So everything I'm doing in consecutive order because I'm showing you that eventually they will get down to asking you those questions. So I'm giving you all the questions they can possibly ask y'all in the system. And you should be able to be overall compliant by the time we get to the end of this discussion. So you see right here, the income paid from a trust, the possible documentation is trustee resolutions. You're going to need that for each trustee. So if you have a revocable living trust, you want to work for the revocable living trust. If you have an EIN, that's another trust. You want to work for that EIN of that other trust, and so on. Next, you're going to need a distribution statement. I don't know all these answers to all this. Like I said, you got to get help and knowledge and research into what these things mean. So distribution statements must be issued by your trust, all your distributions. Next is payroll records, if legitimately employed by the trust. That's if you want to do that W-2 route, 1099 route through the trust. If you don't want to do it that way, you can keep it as a simple trust. And the simple trust, it spends all the funds to all the beneficiaries. But if you start payroll, you start hiring like lawyers or CPAs or other people, you'll be bringing them into something called payroll records. So like I say, I'm not an expert at this. This is just what I think. There could be other strategies and other ways. So I can't give you legal advice or financial advice. Next is your pay stubs. This is a big one because I've been met with this question multiple times and I failed. I did not have the pay stubs. So I have to create pay stubs or I have to get help on how to create my pay stubs. Now I figured it out. It was very easy as I got the answer, but when I asked for those things, I for some reason don't have the pay stubs. So I'm just going over my situation just to kind of give more things of what I'm working on too with the trust is making sure all these possible documentations are ready to go. I have a folder, I have a file, I have a whatever it is, it's on my phone. I need to have these documents, especially if I'm going to be able to work through the trust. So this is why I say this is where it gets into you working all the time and you are doing something. And it's very, very, and I would say extremely important. People treat this at the highest level of society. If you say you're working with your trust, then you are at a high level of society. So some important clarifications. We're going to say a trust should only pay compensation or distributions when authorized by the trust document. So the trust document only talks about the distributions, which a revocable trust talks about that, the applicable state law and federal tax law. So you must be compliant with all those taxes, the state laws, and your trust document. So we have a course that shows you how to stay in compliance with that. So I won't be able to go in to show you those details, but it does deal with your trust instrument that I tell you all about all the time, the revocable living trust. It can either be one that you notarize or you have in hand, or you have it on the county record. So that's important to have access to that trust document. The other part of the state law, they may require you to, like we say, somebody asked a great question about the DBA. So at this point, I would say at that point, yes, you will have to have some type of trade name, DBA, or fictitious name registered at some point. And not only would it be just in the name, we'll say some people have the sole prop, but it'll also be the name of the trust. So the trust name needs to have some type of trade name, DBA of some sort, fictitious name, assumed name, whatever state law requires, because the state can at some point say that you're out of compliance if you don't have certain things in place when you're dealing with, they say, money. So that's important for the state law. We do cover that in our courses, just for those who have taken those or who are still in process of working with us in some of your trust studies or your courses. And the last but not least is a federal tax law is what we talk about all the time, is making sure you have the 1040 and the 1041 file when necessarily required. So that's why I went over the important clarification to give more details to that, because that may be something that's a little different than we've dealt with. So that's why I was able to do some more explanation on that for us. How's the brightness look? So there you go. It looks a little bit more brighter now. That's way better. Could have did that earlier. Go ahead, brother Ronnie. I see your hand.
Wallace, my question is, if I'm a W-2 employee or 1099 employee or contractor, and hypothetically, if I have set up my everything properly, I'm not understanding how am I working for the trust if the funds are being ran through my sole prop. I'm lost right there at that turn because if the sole prop is doing business, whether a W-2 or a contractor, 1099, and then but I'm legally working for the trust, can you give me some clarity around that? Do you understand the question?
Right. It's an excellent question. So, um, the way the imagery is showing it is like showing practically what it looks like. So the system is required to show that they're going to ask you for some type of documentation. So the system shows that they need to see, even if it's in your trust name, right? That you have a document that shows your trust name paying you as a payee or a beneficiary, right? Or, that's what it says here. So that's how it shows in the system. So to make that work, the sole proprietor at all times is either a grantor or a beneficiary, most of the time anyway. So you're supposed to have those funds in the trust anyway.
Okay, so what you said and what I heard was any direct deposits need to be into the trust account so I be in compliance with these distributions.
Or
So,
the sole prop deposits the funds into the trust account.
mm,
You
okay,
see?
okay,
Because you're thinking that the employer or whoever you're working with needs to get, need to have a trust account. They don't
mm-hmm,
need to have that. They just need the sole proprietor.
okay, okay. And I could just transfer the funds.
Uh,
Got you.
Back to that transfer again. So you transfer from the personal first, right?
Mm-hmm.
To the what?
So, prop.
Exactly. So you can't
And then,
even go to the trust yet until you
right,
went through the what?
so prop.
I got you. So that's what you said.
Yep,
That's what it is.
I got you. Appreciate that.
No problem. That's for anybody hearing this. So we don't know how you can manage the trust if you haven't managed the sole proprietor. Because the sole proprietor has to manage the what?
The
The
trust. He the
trust.
grantor.
Exactly.
He
Come
the
on
he the
now.
trustee. He got a lot of hats in there.
Right. Exactly. The sole proprietor has to manage the trust document, the trustee powers, the trustee everything. The sole proprietor is the trustee of the revocable living trust document that you created. So we got to be clarifying that trustee position. I'm not a trustee for nobody else's trust. I don't care who trust they got, or I don't care if it's the government trust. I have a trust document that I'm the trustee of this revocable living trust that's according to this document that I have. And it's according to the law. That's how we have to talk about confidence again, because that goes back to the power of attorney again.
Okay, Wallace. So what you said and what I heard was you control what you create. That's what I heard.
Right.
Now
I
you
can
just
only
you
control. Yeah.
you broke my sovereign citizen mindset.
If I and I did this to a lot of people in the past. So I used to do this like 6, 7 years ago. I used to talk about this a lot. And I used to talk about it because I had a lot of people, they were all on that UCC and the UCC stuff like that. Like I said, if I did not create it, then I don't have control. So that instantly gets rid of the birth certificate. I did not create the birth certificate. I can't control the money that's whatever they say is on that birth certificate. I have no control. I have no control over the social security card. I did not what? I did not create it. I didn't create the identity card, the ID, the state ID. What else did they create for us? Anybody want to go down the line? The bank card. I didn't create the bank card. Who created the bank card? The bank.
It makes sense too, Wallace, because my social security card say this is property of the Social Security Administration. If it's lost or stolen or found, please return to whatever. It clearly states it. So
There you
that makes
go.
sense.
That's right. What else do they got? They got your yeah, they got your bank accounts. So what do you control? What do you have? What do you have that you control that they didn't have before they used it?
Your name.
Thank you. That's exactly correct. Your name. That's what you control. So guess what? My name is on that social security card, isn't it? What else is on the ID? I don't care about the ID. Look, it's business now. Now the ID became business. This
It
goes down the
makes
line, y'all.
Yeah, it makes sense now. All accounts open. I'm not fighting for the account. I'm fighting for the name because this is my name. I have the
There you
trust
go.
documents to prove it, to substantiate my claim and what I claim to be true. Now, that account number associated with that driver's license or that account number associated with this social security card or even in this bank account in my individual capacity, it's still I'm talking about the name on the account. Not that's what I got out of that, Wallace.
Right. We don't
You
care
tied
about
it.
how much, I don't care how much QSIP it is. I don't care about the accounting. All I care about is the name. That's what I'm saying. Like, even if it break down to they find out you're worth like a cajillion dollars. Well, the name. I have ownership and power over the name. That's really it. And because once we break that down, we don't get into all those other battles. Because you can't win, firstly, if you're not even in the trust. The trust is what brings in the power. And you're out there fighting with your name, fighting for your name. Let's say we're fighting for our name, but we're doing it personally. It's interesting. This is why they don't want you to think about your name. So there you go. That's the answers. You got to have your trust document. You got your applicable state law, and you got your federal tax law. And we cover all this stuff once you do all three of those things. We talk about it in detail all the time. And then they tell you right here your overall strong practices, filing tax returns, even if payment can't be made immediately. Keep business and personal records separate. Maintain organized documentation. Building a legitimate business credit history. Keeping trust records current. There you go. So this is money right here. This is your job. We over here saying we don't have a job, we don't have no money. Well, you got to do this because this is going to keep your money coming. And you have to do this on top of whatever we say we got going on right now too. So I would rather do this first, get this out of the way, then I'll go into my stuff that I'm trying to get done, my business plans and my ideas and my whatever else is going on. Because it's never going to go away. They're going to keep coming back around asking us for the same questions. Like I said, you can't get around this one because they always come back asking y'all, and even me, because I'm going into it myself, they're going to ask you for those bank deposits. They may ask you for the pay stubs. So it's either the sole prop account pay stubs or the trust, what they say, the DBA of the trust. You need those pay stubs too. So items needing caution, what we don't talk about, what we don't teach, or we don't guide you into. So some people may guide you into some of the things that I'm saying, but it may be some things they don't guide you into that I'm saying. They could be completely these, some of these boxes may be checked off as X. We don't know. But items needing caution, a sole proprietor does not have to use only an SSN or avoid an EIN. Either may be appropriate depending on circumstances. So we'll go into why you use your social security number for your sole proprietor at the bank. And you also can use an EIN for the trust to do the same things. But like I say, we can't get into the full details of the EIN this week. We're speaking of just specifically your social security number. Property should not be represented as trust property unless it has been legally transferred to the trust. So all of your property has to be transferred to the trust. Trust payroll and beneficiary payments must follow the trust agreement and applicable law. They cannot be created solely to generate documentation. That's right. So we got people that create the trust so they can create the documentation. You have to do it based upon exactly it really happening. So you got to be careful creating documentation for other people saying, hey, I did this trust for you. All you have to do is do this. At any point, they don't do what you said, then the documentation becomes null and void. So we got to be careful with that information as we pass it on to others. Yes, go ahead. I see your hand.
Wallace. So, all right. So the trail, since I'm moving to the business side, so I have a sole proprietor account and I have an account for my trust. So would I have that money direct deposited to my trust account and then the trust to the sole proprietor, or the other way around?
Well, you asked the question the same way the other brother said. So if you have the ability to direct deposit into your revocable living trust account, that's great. If you have the social security number getting the money, right? Because some employers don't want to use your EIN of your revocable living trust, right?
Right.
Then you're going to transfer the funds that's in your personal account that they deposit to, or you're going to have them direct deposit to your sole prop account. So really, you have to update to the sole prop account for direct deposit. Then it'll be in the trust.
All right, I got you.
Yeah, if it's in the sole prop and it's direct deposit to the sole prop, it falls into the trust.
Okay.
All right. So that works for anyone that's working. It doesn't matter. We're still using the social security number. We're still using the social. So I hope that answers all our questions, and we'll get into our overall compliance principles that we talked about today. And it says the tax returns filed, your taxes paid or payment arrangements documented, your separate business financial records, business banking activity, your accurate accounting records, legitimate business credit, your proper trust administration, your property documentation that goes into like your lease agreement or your arrangement with the mortgage company. You can add your trust on the mortgage companies too. You have people in the network do that. Have multiple people add their revocable trust on the property. You got your income documentation. That's right. So they're going to ask you proof of income. You're going to have that proof of income that we talked about today. So it's either going directly to the sole proprietor bank account, or like the brother said earlier, that trust account, if you have the trust open. And last but not least, you're going to be in compliance with the IRS rules and state law. So we already talked about that. The state law compliance, they don't tell you. IRS rules, they don't really tell you, but they do imply. And these are the things that you must do in a certain amount of time. So I hope this helps for our weekly diagram. I was able to get a visual to our digital business office, step 4, compliance, and what we last left off from last week. I will try to get a visual to the other steps that I had prior, but I thought that these were the main meat of the discussion steps, because this is where everyone gets to the point where you're actually entering into the society, and you're we'll say you're out here, you're doing business. Because even if you take it, even if it's personal, it's still a personal business, right? So I would say don't get rid of the word personal like it's a bad word. Like, we're not saying personal is bad. We're just saying begin to take care of the personal business and look at it from that perspective, rather than seeing it being a shot at your personal life. It's not a shot at your personal life. It's just more a update to your business life as well. So we don't like to say this is an ors. We like to say this is an and. So get your personal things in order and make sure the business is getting all of those things that you have personally in order, by all that being transferred over to the business. So transfer everything that's in your personal to your business. All right. So I hope that helps. In the close of this diagram, I'm going to go into our next week's discussion, and we'll be able to talk about anyone that's new that would need navigation through our site. We've been updating a lot of things, but have things ready to go in real time. So if you want to get started with things and you have your business ready, or you want to jumpstart your business, then you're going to go to our site, universitytechnicians.com, and we offer tech support. That's really what we do. We just want to offer you the tech support, how you can jumpstart everything in the digital world. So we may be maybe 5 to 10 years ahead, but at the same time, by getting your business ready, the types of businesses we help you create, they last for about 5 years anyway. So that's the best part of this. It's not as expensive. And when you do this, the business will be open for about 5 years, I believe. So we're still doing some updates, and I'll show you all just a little bit as we close out this week. So you're going to go straight to the website, universitytechnicians.com. And when you go to universitytechnicians.com, we offer you tech support on how you can walk through all these steps on a digital level. So a lot of these steps that we talked about are online, in compliance with the irs.gov and all those things. So you're able to visit our site, and we also have an AI support that'll help you now, that we were able to create within our recent times. So we have a new way that you can actually get a DIY walkthrough. So right now, only one course is ready with the revocable trust course. As we're building out the banking course, we've added in some updates to the banking course. So this will also update into your credit profile with your business, as well as building up a business credit card that we're working on right now too. As you know, we also offer electronic service and support. If you want to reach some of these videos that we have, because a lot of these videos on YouTube, they take them down, go to the video section right here. This will allow you to go through the walkthroughs and the live sessions. I think you have to have a plan, but I don't know for sure. We're still working on these segments as we go. If you go to the study groups, this is another segment that allows you to go to some of the content that we share too. Let's go back. But I'll show you all just a beta test of the trust information in case you need to get assistance with the trust. Okay, that's not the right page. That's my information. I think it's right here. Let's see if it goes to it where we can chat with her to help us with questions on the trust, or if it just redirects to my page. Okay, so here we go. So she can help us now. So she helps run your trust services start to finish. You can ask anything about setting up your revocable trust, your private banking, and power of attorney. She walks you through the lawful DIY path and gets you enrolled in seconds. So this is great if you all need to talk anytime you may not have access to me or my team. This is where you want to go, and you can ask a lot of these questions, and it'll guide you into everything most of the time where you need to go. If you have questions on things while I'm here, we'll do weekly meetings as I talk to you all on Sundays. So this is my day where I talk to you about questions about these courses. Everything I talk about always covers in one of these three courses most of the time, actually all the time when I talk about things on Sundays. So I've broken it down into three courses, one complete structure. Each is a self-paced walkthrough using official state approved and irs.gov documents with video lessons you complete at your own pace. So there's no pace of you completing everything. We've mapped it out a lot easier for you. We can choose course 1, course 2, or course 3, or I think you have to do it in consecutive order. But either way, if you do the one path, it'll allow you to choose which one you want to do. We always recommend y'all start with revocable trust. Some of these steps, they're going to ask you to have the revocable trust. Once you choose your path, you're going to see the cost that it does go into. So we do have a cost to each of the courses. They do seem expensive at times. So we do have payment plans. If you all don't have the full amount at one time, we do recommend you pay the full amount because it'll allow us to streamline your process even faster. We have everything mapped out already for you. But if you do this right here, a single course is $1,100. If you do the complete bundle, which we most recommend, all of our people come in through this right here, because you get all three of the courses at one time, and we give you all these this structure that you need with documents and things to go. Also, a Q&A session on Sundays. We give you priority to talk about things based on your experience and your testimonials. So we all want you who have ever taken these courses to give people updates on how your life is going, things like that too on our Sunday calls. We invite you to those testimonial times too. You do have lifetime access to all the updates. So it's not like a one-time thing. You can always log into the site and your profile will show points or it'll show your progress or all of the things you complete. This may be something people start off with too, or you get into the $600 a year, where we have you live help at any time around the courses. So this will be like more of a boost to both of these right here that you buy. But our goal is for you all to take all three courses. So you have to get through our prerequisites through the university technicians ecosystem. If you don't have all three courses mastered, it's very difficult for us to guarantee your success out here in the business world. So there are actual documentations that the business world understands, but you will have a leverage above them by you having this knowledge of all three of these courses. So I hope this helps, and I've been able to go through some things. We've been able to do a lot of explanations and simplify things for you all. But other than that, I think that closes us out for our weekly discussions. And if you all have any other comments or questions, the mic is open for you as we close out in this next 5 to 10 minutes.
I
Great
got
classes.
the head. Oh, go ahead, bro.
Nah, you jumped on me. Go ahead. Go ahead. My bad.
I gotta hand them flowers out, man. Wireless, man. Yeah, bro, the flowers is necessary. I only can speak for myself. I appreciate you showing up every time that we show up. The consistency, the transparency, and step by step process, man. Ain't nobody doing it like you, Wallace. They might be doing what you do, but they don't do it like you. It's a calling, and you answer the call. I salute. Peace, love, and blessings, bro.
Ronnie, you like the deacon of the class, so I can't cut you off. I know you finna give the man his flowers, so I can't do nothing but come behind you on that one. Hey, man, it was a great class. It's finally clicking. It's all coming together, so I see it now. So I appreciate you, man.
Thank you, y'all. I appreciate it. It's all love and everything is all well appreciated. I'm just doing what I can to make sure that I stay on point too. So you all help me every week where I can make sure that I'm on point with doing things too. So we're thankful for everyone that comes in. And if you don't have a way of, we'll say, getting the answers to what you need, our goal is to get the answer to what you need. So we want to make sure some of us who are still trying to get the revocable trust understood, or they're still trying to figure out how to use it. That's what we're here for. We want to group up with each other and talk about these things. How do I use this revocable trust? So it's very important for us to think about that. And I'm thankful for everyone that comes in committed to that main foundation point. All right, so that's everything, y'all. We're going to close out. If there's no more thoughts, comments,